I can't analyse that game. I can't. I refuse to analyse it. I don't think you want me to analyse it as a Chelsea fan. I don't want to analyse it as a Chelsea fan. The rival fans, you don't even want me to analyse that because it was one of the most horrendous performances you'll ever witness.
And here to analyse the game with us and many more games is Matisse. Welcome back to DR Sports Talking Tactics. I think you forgot what shows you're a part of, mate.
Yeah, I did. I said I wouldn't analyse it. I wouldn't go and reflect on it. And here I am doing exactly that with you.
I was watching it live going,
he doesn't know. You know that meme? He doesn't know.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
Yeah. Well,
does he know?
You know what? I'm not even going to give Chelsea the time of day on this show, but I will just ask you, did Lampard have any impact?
Negatively, yeah. Negative impact. Net negative. Went back to a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Obviously, the players have not been playing that for quite some time. They've gone to that 3 at the back. That's where the mechanisms are currently mentally going with them. And they played that 4-3-3 and got absolutely destroyed, bossed by Wolves for basically the entire game. And we deserve to lose. Just a poor performance, you know. There's not really too much to really analyse. And to be honest, this is probably one of the first times in a Chelsea game where I was watching, but I wasn't really watching. I was just there. I was looking at the screen. I saw players moving and the ball was circulating, but I didn't really know what was going on. So I couldn't tell you too much detail.
The ball was getting kicked. There were 22 men on the pitch.
Yeah.
Something was happening.
I couldn't tell you too much detail. I knew I am Phil. I am definitely Phil right now.
Okay.
I can talk about the other games though.
Well, let's talk about the other games. Let's start with, of course, Anfield. Not only the biggest game in terms of headlines, in terms of the impact it could have on the title race, but certainly I thought the best game of the weekend. I thought it was peak Barclays. And look, of course, I'm an Arsenal fan. If you want my full Arsenal take on it, that's on AFTV. But we're going to break it down from the Arsenal and Liverpool angle here. I just felt like, of course, there's a disappointment of being 2-0 up.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to get your take on that. But I kind of think it was such a great game. I thought both teams threw so much at it at a tactical aspect. Technical aspect, but then also just pure, not vibes, but just fight, courage, it was just nuts. It was just, let's just throw everything at it here. Credit to both teams, absolute spectacle. It does put it somewhat in Man City's hands, but it's still somewhat in Arsenal's hands. I think it's left it for a neutral, beautifully poised.
Yeah, I mean the first half an hour in particular, you guys ran rampant. And to be honest, let me say this as well. It's not like you guys were having to play at your very best. Liverpool were basically handing some of the goals to you. You know, Robertson's doing the splits. We've got Van Dijk giving an assist, not marking Jesus. I mean, that aerial battle between them two should have been, it should have been, chalk and cheese for him, but he decided that he wasn't going to mark and he's going to leave him unmarked. So Liverpool were kind of the cause of their own downfall, and Arsenal were looking at like they were going to run riot on them, and that would have been an insane result for you guys to get that win, because I think that would have been like one hand on the title, one hand on the trophy. And I think that's where City fans and rival fans, we looked at that and we thought, this is where they surely have to drop points. It's Anfield, right? And up until that Xhaka, little moment with Trent, and then he's getting the crowd up, and I always said it, Liverpool are not going to out-football Arsenal in this match.
And they tried to. Exactly. Trent inverted all that.
Trying to press and, and I was like, what are you lot doing? Arsenal are going to pick you apart. They did. They broke through that initial press, and then they just started to play the ball in between the lines, and next thing you know, it's all chaotic and going crazy. Felt very similar to almost like Tottenham away from home as well, where they tried to step up a little bit, and then you guys just played through them and absolutely spanked them. But then that little collision with Xhaka and Trent, for me, that was the game changer, because that was where now Anfield actually woke up. They were like, oh, the game's going on here, and then the noise started, and then that's where like they started to just dig into the passion and desire traits, not tactics, but more emotional, and really make it a dogfight, which is what it always needed to be. They needed to scrap.
Yeah, I said on AFTV that I don't think the Xhaka moment is the reason Liverpool got back into it. I think they were always going to get back into it.
Okay.
But I also think it was an unnecessary thing to do that maybe got them back into it a little quicker than they did. Because at that point, Arsenal were in control. The ball's in an innocuous area of the pitch. I don't think Xhaka needs to be there, making that tackle. And he's got to press. In fact, I want to talk about the man marking that Arsenal deployed in the game, because Usually, Liverpool's 4-3-3 shape looks something like this, and you get your players across to deal with it. We just got Van Dijk on the ball. But all we saw was Trent coming in field, and that meant that Arsenal had to adapt to the fact that Trent was coming into a more inverted role, and that's where the Xhaka and Trent battle started a little bit more.
Yeah.
That is why Xhaka's gone to press him in that first place. The man marking that Arsenal deployed in the game, I thought had real positives and real negatives. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. But just on this particular battle here, this one, I think... Look, I don't think it's a big coincidence that the moment happens and then they score a minute 30 seconds after. But I think Arsenal do a lot more wrong in the goal than Xhaka did in that moment for it to be like, because Xhaka did this, then it got Liverpool back into it. But what I do think is, listen, some people say it's a myth and that the Anfield thing's overdone. I don't think so. I think it's no coincidence that apart from Real Madrid, everyone has struggled at Anfield this season because even though they're having a poor season, they just know how to lift it. There's something about that atmosphere. There's something about the fans. They're always behind. They always show fight. And the minute it became a scrap and it became a little bit more of a dogfight, Liverpool did, I think, raise it a little bit. And I asked Robbie, who was there, he said the crowd did get louder through what happened, but he said Liverpool were building momentum anyway. And actually, that would have been a really good opportunity for Arsenal to just try kill it and go into half-time 2-0 rather than give them a little something, and they did in that moment.
Well, credit to Klopp as well for moving Trent, because in the first 60 seconds, Trent gets absolutely destroyed by Martinelli, and I'm thinking this is going to be a long day, and it happened numerous times in the first half. And then he moves him inside and he starts to become the Rico Lewis role, the Zinchenko role on the flip side. And I spoke about this potential position for Trent, funnily enough, last week on 5, and it was me, Flex, and it was Danny Murphy, and it got a lot of criticism on my Instagram when I posted it, because they were like, there's no way Trent can play here. He doesn't have the awareness. He's not good in those central areas in terms of scanning, and he plays on the flank for a reason, because the pitch opens up and he can see everything and he can play those crossfield balls. And I started to doubt myself. I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he actually can't play here. And I'm not saying that he's perfect in this position, because I definitely think he needs to be able to show onto his left foot and show that variety of passing on his left side. And you see the way that, Partey and Zinchenko are very press resistant. They can carry the ball past players if there's not a pass option. So there's a lot of work to do for Trent. He was a midfielder in the academy, moved to right back to break in, to dislodge Nathaniel Klein, and then now he's been given an opportunity to come back in it. But if they get a real 6, and I'm not talking about Fabinho anymore because he's really on the way out, another top level 6. They were looking at Tchouaméni last window, I think, before he went to Real Madrid. They need to get that position sorted. Obviously, maybe Paulinho at Fulham could be an option. That 3, when you look at all of the defensive issues that they've had, they need to look at that 3 at the back as an option. Just give yourself a little bit more, a little bit more solidarity, a little bit more cover for your defenders, because once that whole collision happened, it was all Liverpool. The rest of the game was all Liverpool. It was just wave after wave after wave. And it's the first time this season I've seen Arsenal clinging on and wanting the game to be over and not enjoying it. Even though Jesus wanted to have a little flick and a trick here and there, and there were still moments for Arsenal.
He did play well.
He did play very well. There were still moments, but you could tell Arsenal weren't comfortable anymore. They weren't enjoying themselves out there.
Absolutely
at all
not.
Times.
And what's funny is we still could have had a third to maybe kill it off when you think of some of the chances. But I mentioned the man marking, and this is why I think it's really important. Look at some of the battles here. White was taking care of Jota, holding Gakpo in a bit of a battle there. Gabriel Saliba, Gabriel and Salah, what a battle that was. I thought, and actually Salah got his goal and actually played well, but I thought Gabriel was brilliant in that battle as well. I thought it was really fascinating across the pitch, and you saw where a man marking system can have real benefits and can have real drawbacks. Let's start with the benefits, because the benefits came first, and it's in the Jesus goal. Now what you've got here is Arsenal kind of in a situation where Trent's sort of come in field. Arsenal are backing themselves to sort of play high up the pitch. And what they've got here is Xhaka plays the ball over the top to Martinelli. And at this point, because Trent was playing quite in field, quite inverted, Konate goes out to Martinelli, Van Dijk's gone on Jesus, Robertson's gone on Saka, but because there was lots of one-on-one battles, once we did stretch the pitch and we got the better of certain players, we were able to just take advantage. Martinelli cuts inside, Konate had to come across, and the cross is perfect. But Van Dijk's the only one there to deal with it. Robertson can't come across because he's got an eye on Saka. It was a brilliant delivery and it was a brilliant header. But after that Xhaka incident, which you mentioned, We're going to bring up the Salah goal. This is where the man marking, which worked for Arsenal in a lot of ways, dominating the game. This is where, when it is pulled apart and players are starting to get moved around because Liverpool's showing fluidity and they've maybe been able to pick a player out of position, this is where it can really crumble. Because if you look at the positions of these players, Zinchenko is very central, as he had been on the press and all that. Partey has kind of got an eye on Jones, but he doesn't want to come all the way out to Jones because Jones has pulled off left. White's following Jota. Holding doesn't want to quite come to Gakpo because Partey's got an eye on him there. So it's all a little bit messy. And when Jota wins this ball and twists from White and plays it into Gakpo, White's lost his battle, Jones has pulled left, and the whole thing's pulled apart at this point. Xhaka recognises that the back three is Holding, Zinchenko, Gabriel, and he wants to get back to make it a 4, but by that point, it's a mess. Holding's come out to the right. Partey, White, Xhaka are just fighting for their lives to get back into any sort of position. Zinchenko's the only centre-back. Odegaard's trying to get back and help. Really good overlap from Jota. And then when it's cut back, Henderson, I mean, look, a little bit lucky, but he finds a pocket of space, mainly because that Arsenal defence has basically been pulled apart and it becomes a case of
people
instinct.
are just in random areas now.
Do what you can. And that's where it didn't work for Arsenal.
I think, obviously with Arsenal in the end, when you look at the way that the game went in the second half, the substitutions were critical, right? And we were talking about Arteta making those wave of substitutions to bring on Kivior and to bring on, to take off Odegaard and to maybe leave Tierney a bit later. It seemed like he was ready for the Tierney-Zinchenko substitution straight after the goal, which tells me he just needed the ball to go out of play and maybe that nutmeg doesn't happen. What did you make of Arsenal substitutions as an Arsenal fan? Was you happy with Kivior coming in, who was maybe a little bit, he's not really played any Premier League games, a little bit rough around the edges? Maybe there's been some people saying criticism for bringing him in a situation like that. Some people saying, listen, they brought in an extra attacker in Firmino. We kind of had to go to a 5. Tierney, was it too late? Is that a real criticism? Is that hindsight analysis? How do you see that? Because it's tough on Arteta.
I think the answer is
in ways
that it's a total gamble. I honestly think it's a total gamble because some people were saying, actually, we were doing okay with the 4 and we lost a man in midfield. We're getting overrun in midfield massively anyway. So I don't blame him for that change. I think the one he got wrong that I was saying in game he should do is actually, I think Saka should have come off. I think Jesus.
I thought Saka would come off. I
thought Jesus' hold-up play was so good. He could have put Trossard out there, maybe Martinelli on the right, Trossard left, Jesus up front, just to ask a different question. But make sure there was always that outlet, his trickery, his strength, all that. Been there at Anfield, got over the line at times as well. I would have gone with that. I think that's the one that in game I remember thinking, come on, Arteta. The other ones, you mentioned Kivior here coming on and going to the back 3. Look, I kind of get it. Why wouldn't you get an extra centre back on and just protect? Because actually,
Nunes has come on at this point as well, and he's a handful.
Yeah, they had loads of forwards and goal threats. 4, I think, by the end of the game. In getting into the box, and I understand the need for an extra player. Though, did Kivior do well? No, I don't think he did. And then maybe Zinchenko for Tierney in hindsight. But I wasn't watching Zinchenko and thinking he's having a shocker because Salah was playing on Gabriel. There was about Zinchenko and Trent. Funnily enough, that's where he loses the battle and Trent ends up scoring. Crossing it and getting the assist. But actually, I thought he was doing okay for a lot of the games, Zinchenko. And, Flex and I were just talking as well earlier. He was making the point that Zinchenko is the experienced player who you've brought in to get you over the line here. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I think, yes, I agree, Tierney should have come on.
Because if you're going defensive anyway, that means ultimately you need your best defenders, and Tierney's a better defender than Zinchenko.
Absolutely.
Maybe Zinchenko could have gone into midfield.
Maybe that Xhaka on a yellow.
Xhaka on a yellow. Maybe
probably.
These are like the fine margins in football, isn't it? It's nothing to be like, oh, Arteta, but it's like, it's.
I'm not really on
it's
Arteta.
It's fine margins, and it's like it's the difference between maybe a win and a draw. But to be honest, Liverpool deserved minimum a point because they missed a penalty. And their XG was through the roof. They were creating so many. Ramsdale had an insane day. So I know you're going to ask me, is this 2 points dropped or is it a point gained? Before the match, this is a point gained. This is a tough place to come. Your record here is appalling. Everybody's, understands what this stadium is about, unless you're Real Madrid who walk around with AirPods and play at Anfield like there's no noise. But everybody else can hear the noise. So it is a point gained before match. After match, being 2-0 up, it feels like 2 points dropped for you guys. It will. But I think you're still in control of your own destiny. You always were having to go to the Etihad and try and get something. I don't think the mentality was to ever go to the Etihad and just, it's a free hit.
Completely and
no
utterly
way.
agree.
So the situation is not too different to what it was, not too dissimilar. If you don't win the title, people may come back to this game if Martinelli just puts a little bit more on that pass to Saka, but this is a good point on the schedule. There's other games where you'll be talking about if you don't win.
I'm telling you now, my excuses are ready. If we don't win by a point, I'm looking at a Brentford goal that's offside.
Because it's not like this is you deserve to win this, because Liverpool have.
And that's the thing I want to make the point. Some people, I know what football fandom could be like, throwing the term bottle around, throwing the term, saying we're 2-0 up. That's all true. Is it disappointing we were 2-0 up, conceding the 86th, 87th minute and don't win? Absolutely, it's disappointing. But it's only because of and obviously this context is important, the fact that we were 2-0 up, the order in which the goals went. But just look at that game and tell me, did Arsenal deserve to win it? No, not for me. We had plenty of chances to. We could have. Our first half was scintillating. But I just think, and also, people like to use the context of being 2-0 up, but context could be used in a lot of ways. I'll use the context that Liverpool had to win this game, and they came out firing and responded. I'll use the context that Saliba was out, that Jesus was only a second start. You can use it in different ways. I choose to look at the positives because Arsenal, I think, have earned the right for me to look at the positives.
This is clearly not the same Arsenal, because usually you get destroyed here. It's a 2-2. And you don't know how to feel about it. That's a clear sign of improvement. That's a clear sign. Man City go to Anfield all the time and they take a point and they keep it moving in their title wins.
Completely agree. Let's move on from that game. Let us know your thoughts on point gained, 2 points dropped, the tactics in the game. Very interesting with Trent coming inside, the Arsenal press, the man marking. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We're talking about Man United a little bit now. We're talking about this man, Bruno Fernandes, playing in a deeper role. What I've got here is his average positions, Matt, because I was talking to Cam, who does United View. Go check out his brilliant content with Flex as well, their tactical show. And here we've got Bruno Fernandes higher than Sabitzer and McTominay in the average positions, but he was doing a lot of his best work from deep. In fact, he ranked in the game across all players, third for shots, first for passes, first for chances created. I think he created like 7 in the game. First for attacking third passes, and joint second for ball recoveries as well. Very impressive. His role seemed to me like one that was about doing something very different when Man United had the ball to what they did when they didn't have the ball.
For me, I was quite shocked to see him deep again, because against Newcastle it did not go very well at St James's Park. And my concern would be, although this was a fantastic performance, it really was a fantastic performance. When I went back to watch over it, I was like, wow, I almost couldn't believe it, really, because like I said, I have massive reservations and question marks over the longevity of this position. I don't think there is longevity. I think when Casemiro comes back and Manchester United's midfield actually Eriksen's coming back, when these guys come back, I think he'll be put right back where he belongs. This is kind of like, you need to do a job for the team situation.
I agree.
And the level of the quality in comparison between Bruno Guimaraes and coming up against him and coming up against maybe some of these Everton players, there is a massive contrast. But I did watch them against Brentford and now obviously this one as well. And it is a pat on the back. It is a fair play, because he needed to step up. He is captain. He is going to have to sometimes drop into those areas and dictate and control and play those passes and show the composure and not be a hot potato. You know what I mean? So credit to him. I wouldn't keep it going for too much longer, because I feel like it's almost like you're asking for trouble in a way. But against an Everton team that really just did not compete one bit, I'm actually quite shocked.
Yeah, I agree.
A Sean Dyche team that could have really been slapped for more goals. It was one of the easiest, most comprehensive wins Manchester United will have all season, and it was an easy day for everyone. So I don't want to read too much into it, because Everton were horrendous, but it's a good building block for Manchester United, because obviously they've had to recover from some poor results.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very interesting how McTominay obviously gets into the box for the goal.
He's got a shot on him, he does.
Oh yeah, he does.
He really does have a shot on him.
Yeah, he's actually shown that quite a few times in his Man United career. And obviously the goals for Scotland very recently. I know we were critical of the way he deployed against Newcastle.
Again, I wouldn't play him in the 10 again. No, even though he scored, there's a lot of things from this game I wouldn't be carrying on with for 2.
But it did feel like there was a tweak from what we were critical of in the Newcastle game. It felt like, and I was chatting again to Cam and United View, getting their thoughts, saying why the average positions, which I'll just bring up again, showing Bruno further forward when we know he did his best work from deeper. And he was saying that it was literally a case of actually, when they didn't have the ball, McTominay would slot in and would be deeper. But when they did, it was almost like you're used to.
Because let's be real, Bruno should be better than McTominay on the ball.
Yeah.
And McTominay should be better off the ball than Bruno in terms of getting the tackle and getting the foot in. So it's just an alternate, isn't it?
Interesting.
That's what kind of happens when you have a backwards midfield. We have it as well, where your deepest players are not the conductors. They're not able to play through the press. They're not able to play the ball in between the lines. You need that if you're going to play that position. You can't just be winning the ball and running and working hard.
So Kante presses hard at the pitch,
exactly,
Enzo plays. Yeah,
exactly. Backwards midfield. So that's something that you don't want to continue with when these teams put their midfields out and they're pressing from the front. They're winning the ball up the pitch and they're getting transitions, but they're not able to go up against a low block and thread a pass or take a shot like a Kante. That's backwards midfield building, basically.
Very true. Yeah. What is Bruno Fernandes? You can ask him that however you want. Is he world class? Is he a world class talent? Is he rubbish?
Talent? How old is he?
So everyone just keeps telling me about what he can do.
He's a very good player at his best. I wouldn't call
second striker, trequartista.
Yes,
advanced playmaker.
I wouldn't call him a world class player.
No,
and I've never called him a world class.
No,
I don't think I ever.
I thought the De Bruyne comparisons a few years ago were insulting.
Yes,
actually. But what I do appreciate is that his numbers are very impressive.
Yeah.
And his final third output is very,
he takes
very
risks.
good.
And to be honest, like as much as I criticise him, you want players that will take risks. Obviously, how frustrating that will become if they don't, have a success rate of a decent percentage. That's for another conversation. But taking risks is very important in football. If everybody's going to be safe and everyone's going to play it side to side and not actually try and make that have that effect on the game, then you're not going to go anywhere as a team.
Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he a 10?
He's not an 8. He's not a 6.
Is he a striker? Is he a wide player?
I'm going to call him a second striker.
I think he's a second striker in a team that has two midfielders that can completely lose control.
Yeah.
So
I think ideally, if he didn't have to control and he had two controllers behind him and he could just make runs and get into dangerous areas and pick it up and take shots when
Tottenham had Eriksen, Dembele, Wanyama, all in the team.
He's the Dele Alli. He's the Dele Alli. He's the Portuguese.
I think he's got a little bit more craft.
He's got a lot more craft.
Yeah.
Dele Alli didn't have much passing craft.
Yeah, sort of. If he was playing a Man City's team, you could chuck him behind Haaland.
Yeah.
But I'd want Rodri and Bernardo there.
Yeah. And De Bruyne. And Morris. And Grealish.
He wouldn't get in Man City's team.
He wouldn't get in the team.
But listen, a very good player. And at times we're going to criticise him, at times we're going to praise him. This week it's praise. Let's talk Palace. Roy Hodgson.
They're sneaking up on me, Palace in 12th.
Yeah, I know.
6 points behind.
You're watching their results.
I am. I'm looking at their fixtures.
You're watching that fifth going in. Oh, you.
They beat Leicester last week, late winner of Arteta, who never does that. Roy Hodgson, they're calling it Roy Story 2 on Sky. They've got a whole little thing going on. Lovely little bit of music in the background as well. I was very critical of the appointment because I felt like Vieira, as much as they were in horrid form,
critical of the appointment.
I feel like I still am. This is very short term.
Yeah.
This is like a short term boost. It's like an energy drink, right? And crazy that someone in his 70s is giving an energy to the team, but that's what he's doing, right? It's not a long term. It can't be long term at his age. I don't think we want Roy to just rest now. Just enjoy life.
Relax.
Maybe he is enjoying life. When you've got Eze and you've got Elise in the team, how can you not be enjoying?
Don't give him mad credit.
Love to see them play together.
He's come in, he's gone with a 4-3-3. He's brought Eze. I think that's the crucial bit. The return of Eze to this midfield. Probably the one thing Vieira got wrong, though. I don't know if he had injury problems at times, which kept him out. But it's just a sensible team. Like, you go on 4-3-3, fairly reliable back four, energy in your midfield, and quality in your front three.
Do you think he took Eze out because the fixtures were more difficult? They've played Leicester, they've played Leeds. They're easier games. When we look upon this and we go to what Vieira was up against, some of the fixtures were awful to them. Really tough fixture list from the start of the year. No wins. I'm not saying that should have been the form, but I'm saying that it was a very difficult run, and I could understand why maybe he went a little bit more defensive, because at the start of the season he was playing Eze and he was playing Elise, and he was actually at times he had them as 8s, both of them, and then he had 3 forwards. He had Elise and he had Eze as 2 8s in front of a sitter. At the start of the season, Vieira was showing so much attacking impetus, so much. It's just so much. It was very
willingness to be on the front foot.
Very aggressive tactics, to the point where I was actually like, this actually might be too much. actually might be too many attackers.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, then he maybe walked away from that a little bit. But
yeah, maybe. I mean, and also Sambi Lukonga was his signing. I don't think Lukonga's had minutes since Hodgson came in. Okay, only 2 games. So it'll be interesting. But I think Eze is a class player, and I wanted to actually recreate the goal because I just think it's a really nice goal.
The dynamic duo, those two, when they're close to each other, the ball retention, the dribbling, the spatial awareness, technical ability, you don't really need more than just them two on a counter. Because as long as they're close enough together to combine, chaos.
I agree, and I think Elise is the kind of player who he'll end up at a club that play proper positional play football, whether it be Man City, Arsenal. I think Arsenal might go for him.
Do you think so?
Yeah, maybe.
Saka, that age range.
You know what? You can
competition,
have some good competition there, man.
The reason why I say City, Mahrez is getting older. He looks like the perfect player to go and play.
See his delivery for Ayu's header.
Yeah.
I thought that feels Mahrez, just pins the fullback, opens his body, great ball.
Yeah.
And then I love this goal. We're just going to break it. Well, not really.
I'd actually would like to see him at City. You know, he's a Chelsea Academy product.
Is he?
Another
there
one,
you go. But I love this weight of pass.
Oh.
And then that little outside of the boot. And I'm not going to lie, I think Martinelli was watching that game earlier because his finish for the opening goal at Anfield, very similar. Just let me just get a toe on it.
Yeah, just get a toe on it,
Yeah, but look, credit to Palace.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
See how long they go with that, because
very true.
I don't want to be I don't want to be leapfrogged in the table.
Well, let's talk about the relegation battle, as of course that was a massive relegation clash. And I want to actually dedicate some real time to this because
where's my team?
We don't. What, Chelsea?
Yeah, why you only got those teams? Where's my team?
What are you on?
We're not on 40 points yet. Where's my team?
Well, you know, I don't want this always to be such a miserable affair. What we got here is the position of everyone on the table, of course. We've got the team in that position. We've got their points tally, what their last 5 results. The result on their left is their most recent. And then we've got the average position of opposition that they will face between now and the end of the season. And we don't really spend a lot of time on the show talking about relegation. And I thought it was only right that we actually do a little bit on it because this is fascinating. I've never seen a relegation battle like it. Quite literally, any single one of them could go down.
They need to be very careful they don't get detached.
Southampton? Yeah, I agree.
As much as, and funnily enough, Southampton are such a strange team. And obviously their average position is one of the worst.
They've got a really tough final 8-9 games.
So it's going to be a tough one for them to get out of it. Southampton are a team that I've seen glimpses and signs of. There's something in this team. They can play ball. They can orchestrate something.
I agree.
Ward-Prowse. But they just cannot seem to get a win. They cannot get a win from anywhere. And it's like, no matter how much you may sometimes in glimpses 1 every 5 games show me that actually you're not the worst football team in the world, and if you go down to the Championship you could actually make a serious case to come back up.
Yeah, I think
if they because I feel like they're one of those teams that are almost prepared to go down. It doesn't smell of loads of big money players and loads of experienced players that are going to pick up and leave and destabilize the ship, but they were beat down against City, not surprising, no win.
Did okay in the first half.
Yeah, then Haaland just,
I know.
He's just...
I think Leicester are in real trouble, Let me just say, Palace are fine. They've got easily the easiest run between now and the end of the season. They're on 33 points.
Roy Hodgson's now got them
6 clear. They've got a little bit of a manager bounce. They've changed things up a little bit. They've got 2 wins in a row.
Yeah.
Palace are fine. I'm absolutely convinced Palace are fine. So I maybe didn't even need to include them.
No, you did. 6 points. They still need to be
okay, cool,
yeah,
fine. So then you've got Wolves. Now, Wolves, I think, have had a very weird... Because actually not bad. They've only lost 2 of their last 5, and they've got 2 wins in there. Actually, what they've been doing is the job at home.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, all lost very recently, and I think all lost under Lopetegui.
Yeah.
But they're a strange team that have lost some weird games at home. They lost to Bournemouth at home. They lost the other week to Leeds at home as well. They are a bit of a strange side, Wolves. I think they've got enough quality, though. Do you think so?
Wolves, when they put their strongest team out, they do. I say that for a lot of these teams down here, though, and it all depends on who can stay fit, the key players to keep themselves fit. If any of these teams pick up key injuries to say, in particular, let's go to, a Leeds. If they were to, how much have they missed Rodrigo? They've missed him so much. Bamford's come in, not look the same. He's had a lot of injuries. Yeah, but he's had a lot of injury issues. He hasn't been able to be, to really find his form that he showed at Middlesbrough and he showed at Swansea. it's all about keeping players fit. These guys in this relegation battle, they've all got a player or two that they can hang their hat on. They need to keep them fit. West Ham, another team that are way too good to even be in this conversation. They shouldn't even be here.
You think they'll be fine?
I think they will be fine purely because of the quality that they have in their team. And regardless of what's going on with Moyes, I think that will always just override. Not saying that they're going to walk away, because I don't think they will. I think they'll still always be in the conversation until maybe the last 2 or 3 games. But they've got too much quality to even be
They do
there.
have some tough games. I mean, obviously, Arsenal on the weekend, they've then got to go to the Etihad. The thing about West Ham is, I think it's not just the quality. I think they're quite calm about their home form. You know, when they beat Southampton 1-0 the other day, they beat someone else recently at home. They beat Forest 5-0 not that long ago. I just think they're going to do like enough to just kind of get enough wins. And, you know, I can see them basically winning 3 more games minimum between now and the end of the season. I think that will be fine. Bournemouth are a really funny team because, see, they've won 3 of their last 5. They nearly won, certainly got something at the Emirates. Their average position of teams they're playing is 12th, which is the second best average position compared to everyone else. Palace with the best there. And Bournemouth have been grinding out some really
good performances.
Like good performances.
Yeah.
And low-key hilarious 1-0 wins away from home. They can't beat Liverpool at home, but 1-0 wins away from that, I would have thought the opposition would have thought that this was their moment
This
to
was their
beat
moment to
Bournemouth.
shine. I had Bournemouth to go down. And
I did.
My predictions for this relegation battle, I think, were Bournemouth at the start of the season, Fulham, and one other team, maybe Leeds, I can't remember. But Bournemouth has surprised me a lot this season. So the fact that they're on 30 points and they're, you know, it would be 3 wins away from probably safety. I think once you get to 39 points, 38 points, I think you might just be okay. Depends on obviously what the bottom 3 do. But you actually, when you spoke on Leicester, we forgot to touch on Rafa Benitez, who could be appointed. That's the latest. Obviously, Jesse March was rumoured to be going into the job. Somehow that's broken down, and now Rafa Benitez is now the favourite to take over at Leicester. So if that news breaks,
I think that's a great appointment.
Yeah, if that news breaks, for me, there's no way Rafa Benitez is getting them relegated. I can't see it. No way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, damn, that does change things.
Big change.
Because they're a mess, Leicester. But I think they've got the quality. Like
He'll set them up defensively and organise them. That's their weak point. And then they've got enough goals, I think, going forward with Barnes and Iheanacho and Tete and Vardy even off the bench and whatnot.
So let's touch on the other teams then. Impressed with Bournemouth. Leeds, bad result. Horrendous against Palace, which we just touched on.
Yeah. Everton they're not doing what I thought they would do under
tough games
Dyche.
though.
Tough games, yeah.
They've gone to Liverpool, they've gone to Arsenal, they've gone to Man United, they've had Tottenham at home. And then there's Forest, who I thought they had a real resurgence. It wasn't longer we were praising them being
really
13th. We were talking about
they've been sucked back in.
Yeah, they've really been sucked back in. But I think in 2 weeks this could look so different as well.
Could. Yeah.
I think let's make some predictions.
The only team that I'm ready to say are done for is Southampton.
I think so too.
I can't see
they're 4 points off Everton, and even to do that, they then got a leapfrog.
And it's because of who the average as well of opposition is 9th. So I'm gonna say. So
we agree. Southampton. Sorry, Saints fans. I like Southampton a lot. Lots of respect for the club. Yeah. And by the way, I think it actually tells you a lot about what's wrong with football when you look at Southampton's story, the talent they produce. You know, the managers they've brought in. They've done so much right for so long. Poch, but when you have your best players plucked away from you constantly. And
only survive for so long.
It happened to Swansea, but in a shorter period of time. They weren't producing the players, but good club, hiring good managers, playing good football. Yeah. It's not really right. Yeah. There is something wrong with the system, but Southampton, unfortunately, I think are going to lose their place in the Premier League because of it. I know they've made some mistakes as well. They've hired some bad managers and got things wrong. But who else? Who are the other 2 for you that are going to go down?
I had Leeds to go down, and I also think I may have had Everton as well. Wow. I keep changing my mind on Everton. I've had Everton to stay up because of Sean Dyche, but then I've also sometimes said, you know what, maybe they could actually go down because their front line is just so uninspiring. So I'm fluctuating between Everton and Forest for that final place. I don't think Leicester will go down. I think Bournemouth were a team that I predicted from the beginning would go down, but they've shown so much fight recently. And then obviously now you've given me that average opposition as well. I'm playing into that a little bit. So I think Bournemouth have just
Good graphic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good graphic. Bournemouth has shown a lot. So I think these 4 will be fine.
Yeah.
But I think
agree.
Leeds, Everton, Forest, plus
They're the ones I'm
Leicester.
about.
I think once Leicester, if Leicester hire Rafa, I think Leicester will come out of that.
That's the caveat. I
Yeah.
didn't know that going into this video.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to lean on. I actually was about to say Leicester.
gonna say
till
Leicester,
you mentioned
yeah.
Rafa.
Yeah.
If Rafa Benitez coming in, my down are Southampton 20th, Forest 19th, Leeds are the
Okay.
ones I think will fall in there.
Yeah.
I think Leicester will have enough with Rafa and have enough quality on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think Everton will have enough with Deitch, and they will be organised enough, get enough goals from set pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, also just look at their run. I mean, it's only the 1 defeat in their last 5.
Yeah.
You know, they have picked up points in their last 4 games. They just had a lot of work to do. So I think they're in the right direction, and I think Leeds will then drop down. But I think Leicester will be by the skin of their teeth. I think
they need to appoint him soon,
Yeah,
preferably today.
we will see. Of course, if that appointment is made, we will keep you up to date with it on DR Sports. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know what is happening. Matisse, a big thank you.
Pleasure.
Sorry I had to pull you in to analyse.
It's okay. We didn't really analyse it.
That's true. We didn't.
Didn't need
merely
to.
mentioned it. I listened to your wishes.
Yeah.
See how nice.
I prefer not to speak. Literally.
Literally. We'll leave it there. Let us know your thoughts on Liverpool's draw with Arsenal. What you think what do you make of it? Where does that leave everyone in the title race? What do you make of Roy Hodgson, the impact he's had at Palace? What do you make of the relegation battle? I'm glad we gave some time to it there because I think it's fascinating. Didn't really so much look at the tactics, but I think some of the data, I think, gives a very interesting balance to that whole battle there. So let us know your thoughts, and we'll be in the comments to reply, see your opinions, and yeah, we'll see you next week for another Talking Tactics. See you very soon.